Symbian, Nokia, Ericsson, Motorola, a powerful and efficient OS for devices with limited memory and CPU power. It was used in old Nokia phones. It dominated the cell phone markets. It supported multitasking, then evolved with newer Nokia phones. It also added support for touchscreen and app stores, but it failed because it didn't have very popular apps and didn't innovate enough. Support was dropped in 2013. Maemo, Linux-based OS used in Nokia tablets. Loved by Linux users because it was based on desktop Debian Linux. It had good multitasking for the era, loved by Linux geeks, but it was unsuccessful. Meego. It was born as a universal operating system based on Linux. It was meant to be installed on cars and entertainment system, smartphones, notebook by combining Nokia's Maemo and Intel's Moblin OS. It was fast and smooth, controlled using swipes and gestures. In 2011, it was officially used in a Nokia N9 tablet. Then it fell apart after Nokia switched to Windows Mobile. Sailfish OS. The Meego developers then created a new Linux-based OS created by Jolla, an European company that wanted to keep using Linux on smartphones. Many Android apps didn't run on Sailfish OS. Now it is a niche product. They released a new smartphone near the end of 2025. Guess why? How they will become in future. Palm OS, the smartphone before the smartphone. PDA personal digital assistant. They had calendar, contact notes and applications. It was the best in the 90s and early 2000s. After Palm OS 5, it lost popularity to Android and iOS. Blackberry OS, 2000 smartphone for businessmen. The best smartphones with a keyboard, praised for security and safe encryption. Default choice for government, agency and big corporation. It had lightweight apps inside BlackBerry secure ecosystem. It was loaded to adopt apps that were popular on Android. Windows Mobile, Microsoft's attempt on porting Windows CE to PDAs. It was quite similar to desktop Windows. It had a simplified version of the Office suite and email. Pocket-sized businessman style, perfect using stylus. There were few apps aside from Microsoft's ones. It was updated with icons, touchscreen and Windows 7 style but failed. Windows Phone OS. After Microsoft bought Nokia, it re-released Windows Mobile in a newer way, inspired by Windows 8. Then it got updated to Windows 10 Mobile. There were very few developers and it was dropped in 2017. Bada OS, a project by Samsung. It was created as an experiment to have a second part if ever Android were gone into failure. It used the familiar Samsung user interface but ran on Linux instead of Android. It was a closed system that ran on smartphones. Then it got successful on smart TVs and wearable watches, while on the smartphone Samsung pulled the plug. Samsung Tizen OS. It was an evolution of Bada, so then Bada totally failed and was merged into Tizen. This was a Linux-based operating system designed for smartphone but unsuccessful, so it was used on Samsung devices like watches and televisions. Ubuntu Touch, started around 2010s by Canonical, Ubuntu's mother company. It was meant to be installed on smartphone and many other devices. After Canonical pulled the plug, it is now managed by hobby developers that ported it to various devices. Most of the users are Linux enthusiasts that also like Linux on the go. Firefox OS, Mozilla's OS based on web technologies. It was meant to run on a cheap smartphone for sale everywhere in cheap markets and developing countries. The smartphone's hardware was cheap because data was processed on servers, because it was based on web apps based on the Firefox browser engine. Kai OS, the resurgence of flip phones. Very popular in India and Africa. not Android, but it has modern apps like internet browser, YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp. Many phones use T9 keyboard like older style phones. Harmony OS. They were Huawei's own mobile OS after it was banned from using the Google Play services. It started as an Android fork. It then evolved into something unique. Nowadays it is independent with different apps, but since in China people never use the Google Play services, many people use it and like it. iOS, the operating system in Apple devices. Apple pioneered our modern digital life in 2007 with the iPhone Edge 2G. First time with touchscreen and touch keyboard, essential apps. Later it evolved with camera and App Store. Also good for security because based on units. Because of Apple's World Guidance, Apple controls software and hardware. It has good performances, but it is very difficult to install apps not approved on the Play Store. Android, the open source OS to challenge Apple. It is available for every smartphone for many manufacturers. It is used both in cheap and expensive smartphones. It allows you to have many customized versions depending on the manufacturer. Some versions are good and some are worse. Some are filled with ads, others have unique features that are quite useful. Amazon Fire OS developed by Amazon for its smart devices. It is based on Android and it runs its apps, but it is pretty customized, so it runs Amazon Alexa instead of Google Assistant and Amazon App Store instead of Google Play Store. Graphene OS, an Android custom ROM focused on security. It is only available for Google Pixel phones because they have the highest security and locked unlockable bootloader. It takes inspiration from Linux hardened kernel. It uses sandbox Google Play services for highest privacy. It also has a privacy-focused apps like Vanadium, the hardened Google Chrome-based browser, and WebView. Other apps are free and open source from F-Droid that don't require extra useless permissions.